This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to ngscsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
Alrighty.
So since we've broken down the career of Emil Hirsch, and I'm just longingly gazing at a 2004 era Elisha Cuthbert who's just like a freaking 9-3.
Yep. I mean, Jesus Christ, she was only, wait a minute. That was okay, so that movie was 2004. She was 22.
Well, she looks it, and she looks amazing in it.
Along with Ryan Reynolds, one of Canada's greatest exports.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in this era.
Yes.
Especially in this era.
Uh...
All right, so now that we brought down Emil Hirsch, just a freaking perfect 10.
I mean,
all right, well, good show. Wayne Rooney's Hammers, good show.
Hey, yeah, there you go. We'll get to that. Don't worry. And speaking of perfect tens, Man City almost had one. We'll get to that in a little bit as we start episode 244 of the Foreign Affair podcast. I am Edward Green, joined by McCall in Crime, Wes Bradshaw. We'll be breaking down a little bit of the FA Cup that took place this past weekend, round 3. First time the Premier League teams got in on it. We'll also review the League Cup semifinals that were this week. One was very close, one wasn't. So we'll talk about that, and of course,
which basically, with the teams involved, everything worked out like it should have.
More or less, yeah. I have a fun story about that. Well, fun mini story about that. And then, of course, we'll have the Premier League preview for this upcoming weekend's matches. In news and notes, we'll hit a little bit of transfer news, as well as Big Wayne Rooney's story. Hooray! Wazza! And a fun Frank Ribery story. We'll also hit the Watch For and So Raw. As always, this podcast is presented by NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. We never stop. As well as Alicia's Pillows and Things. Martin Luther King Day is coming up. So if your significant other needs a gift for that day, head on over to Alicia's Pillows and Things on Facebook and check out all the cool sports and cartoon theme products they have, like blankets, pillows, ottomans, you name it, they have it. If I named it. So go over and check.
And I know here on the Foreign Affair podcast, Martin Luther King is a big day for us.
Mm-hmm, it is huge.
Yeah.
We don't record on Martin Luther King Day. We take the day off. Oh boy, here we go. Let's head to the matches. Right now, we're going to start with the FA Cup because we go in chronological order. Speaking of big goal matches, Tottenham had 2 matches in the past couple days. One was close. We'll get to that later. One was not, as they destroyed Tranmere Rovers 7-0. A brace, almost a hat trick for Serge Aurier. He tried, failed, but he tried. As well as Fernando Llorente with the actual hat trick, as well as goals from Heung-min Son and Harry Kane, who came on for the last 20 minutes to just kind of stick the knife into Tranmere a little bit. I will say, though, big ups to the Tranmere supporters who were just happy to see Harry Kane play. Thanks for taking that how we meant it. So that was Tottenham going through. Other things happening. Manchester United beats Reading 2-0 thanks to Mata. And hey, Romelu Lukaku scored a goal. That's good for him. Brighton and Hove Albion beat Bournemouth 3-1 in a Premier League tilt. West Ham got by Birmingham 2-0. Burnley narrowly beat Barnsley 1-0 thanks to a late goal by Chris Wood in the 92nd minute. Let's see some other Premier League scores. Gillingham. Oh, there's a joke there. I'm not going to make it. But they get a League One upset over Cardiff 1-0 thanks to a great goal from Elliot List. Just a fantastic goal in that match. I actually watched the last 30 minutes of that match. Good match. Good atmosphere over there at Gillingham. Everton squeaks by Lincoln City 2-1. Chelsea beats Nottingham Forest 2-0. Southampton draws Derby 2-2 as Frank Lampard's team stays in the competition for a replay at the St. Mary's. Newcastle draws Blackburn 1-1. Great season for Newcastle. Just great season. So there'll be a replay in Blackburn for that one. Palace beats Grimsby Town 1-0. I love some of these names. Huddersfield falls to championship side Bristol City in Bristol 1-0. Arsenal sweeps away Blackpool 3-0. Fulham loses to Oldham Athletic out of the League Two 2-1. The deciding goal in that one coming from Callum Lang in the 88th minute as Oldham erased a 1-0 deficit. City, their first big scoreline of the week, they also beat Rotherham 7-0. Big match in that one with 7 different scores, including an own goal in that one. So you know it was a fun day in Manchester for them. Watford gets by Woking 2-0. Leicester loses to Newport 2-1. And then Wolves beat Liverpool in one of the other Premier League tilts. 2-1 was the final there. Great goals from Raul Rodriguez as well as Ruben Nieves. Divock Origi came on and did have a goal for Liverpool that briefly leveled it up in the 51st minute, but Wolves would retake the lead for good just 4 minutes later. So Wes, we'll start with Liverpool. Not too much else to talk about with the FA Cup matches. Most results going as expected, and even though it's technically an upset for Wolves over Liverpool, given their places in the Premier League standings, not a huge upset, I think. And I think Liverpool fans, while I'm sure they're disappointed to go out in the other domestic cup, I'm sure they'll trade it for less matches to play down the stretch and what looks like it's going to be a very, very feisty Premier League.
I agree, and not trying to make any sort of an excuse. Personally, I would love to watch Liverpool make a FA Cup run, win the FA Cup. Hasn't happened now 12 seasons, 2006 the last time. And that was, of course, a famous Steven Gerrard brace laid on in that match against ESPN Takahisla when Liverpool last lifted the cup. It's one of those things sometimes you just have to decide what's more to you as a fan. And, it's one of those things that if Liverpool 16 points back of City and we had already not in the Europa, I would say the FA Cup, that'd be awesome. That said, when you're sitting there with a 4-point lead in the league and you're in the final 16 of the Champions League, suddenly it doesn't quite matter as much. Sure. And you hear people say, well, City are still in for the quadruple. Well, good for them. We've talked about it. City also have more squad depth than basically anybody in the Premier League.
Oh, yeah.
And as I heard an argument this week that Liverpool may have the best starting 11 in the Premier League, but especially when it comes to depth, when City can run out in their FA Cup match, Suarez, Jesus, and who else did they start up front? It doesn't matter, but it was some It was somebody really good. You know, I mean, when you can run that out as like your second string, where Liverpool are running out Sturridge and Origi and oh my God, it's not quite the same level at the moment. Add on to it the fact that Liverpool started a pair of teenagers making their first team debuts, and then 3 minutes in, Dejan Lovren picking up an injury, having on a 16-year-old making his first ever
youngest Liverpool player to ever play in the FA Cup.
Yeah, Kajana Hoover, a young Dutch defender who and I will say now, all three guys who Raul Camacho, Kajana Hoover, Curtis Jones, all three of them, you know, have been at the academy, and Liverpool are really, really looking for them to have big futures, especially Curtis Jones and Kajana Hoover. Jones, a local Liverpool lad, so you know we always get romantic when it comes to that on Liverpool's. When you take a look at that, the fact that Moran, the fact as I sent to you 4 minutes into the match, we no longer had a recognized central defender.
Yeah.
Fabinho had to play central defender in that match and may have to do it against Brighton and Hove Albion this weekend. Luckily, he'll have a guy named Virgil van Dijk next to him and a guy named Allison behind him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and to top it off, don't forget, hopefully, fingers crossed, the last time we ever see Simone Mignolet have to play for Liverpool.
Yay, we're out of the cup, so it's fine.
No offense, dude. You know, let's put it this way. If Simone Mignolet plays again for Liverpool this season, something has gone wrong. So, Wolves didn't have their full strength, but by the end of it, I mean, they basically played their strongest squad, and they deserved it on the day, even though, in all honesty, especially for a lot of the second half, Liverpool were the best team. And were basically a John Ruddy fingertip save of a Xherdan Shaqiri free kick from possibly having a replay coming at Anfield. Which I think, as I was watching this match, 60-minute mark, well, after Neves popped in that fantastic goal, God, I'd love to see him in red, by the way. I think I've said that before. I would love to see Ruben Neves at Liverpool. After that happened, my complete thought was either win it or lose it. Just don't make us have a damn.
I've had that feeling before.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've all had that feeling. And at the end of the day, just once that free kick did not go in, you kind of had the feeling this wasn't going to be our night. At the end of the day, it wasn't. I will say this, we've talked about everybody. Swoon. City have had their in the league for their swoon. If Liverpool have just gone through theirs and we lost one match in the league and lost out of the FA Cup, and that's our swoon, I will take it every day of the week. I mean, if we can bounce back against Brighton and Hove this weekend and, keep the run going like we've had in the Premier League, I will take it and take it with the biggest smile on my face you'll ever see.
And I do think that would be the important thing is when we start looking at Liverpool is how do they bounce back from back-to-back losses. I mean, we haven't seen them lose much. Their only other losses coming, of course, in the League Cup and a couple in the Champions League. So we'll have to see. I don't think it's anything to worry about. I mean, they've lost to the other best team in the league and a cup match they didn't really put out a good lineup for. So, and it's tough because also Liverpool, except for their League Cup match against Chelsea, haven't lost at home either. So that's right. Another thing still going in their favor. So
Fortress Anfield's still a fortress, and like you said, 6 total matches this year. 3 in the Champions League, 1 in the league, 1 in the League Cup, 1 in the FA Cup, all 6 away from home. Fortress Anfield is definitely living up to.
Not quite. It was what the League Cup against Chelsea was home. So five out of six. 5 out of the 6.
I was thinking that was a no. We played Chelsea. That's right. We turned around and played at Stamford Bridge that Saturday and actually got a draw. So.
That's it. You are
so, yes. So, but Fortress Anfield's still living up to its name. And I'm definitely not too worried about this little blip with Wolves. When you take a look at the team put out, it was what it was. I mean, basically, Klopp seemed to almost be inviting that.
Yeah.
So, end of the day, I don't. Rational Liverpool, not too upset about this. Irrational Liverpool fans, they think you should. And then, of course, there are some pundits out there, it seems, who just completely get off on Liverpool just having any sort of a set.
I don't believe you, sir.
I heard a magnificent statement today, listening to something. I can't remember what I was listening to. But, there is, I think every club feels that the media hates them.
Yes.
But, and I say this with all honesty, I really do think that there is some hate for Liverpool, especially among professional pundits. The reason being, if you take a look at a lot of the they were pros in the 70s and the 80s. And the way it was put was Liverpool dashed a lot of dreams in their life. Because, of course, that was the time Liverpool. The one out there that was put out was Brian Robson. Well, Robson finally won a trophy at the very end of his career at United, but it was kind of after the decade of dominance that he had to go through. So there is a lot of hate out there, a lot of talk about it. But, the absolute worst for Liverpool that happens and then a loss out of the FA Cup to Wolves. But he signed me up for it. I'm still feeling really good right now.
Just a quick note, and I will say this and then we'll move on. Just to show, I think, how strong some of the teams at the top have been this season. You mentioned Liverpool have only lost 6 matches all season in all competitions. Tottenham have only lost 7 matches in all competitions this season, and City have only lost 4. So that's 17 losses in all competitions by the top 3 teams in the Premier League. That's insane. So,
right. I mean, they've done a good job. They really have done a good job between them, and hopefully we'll see that strength continue on. Especially in Europe, it would be great to see all the Premier League clubs, Manchester United, continue on in the Champions League.
Absolutely, everyone except United. So real quick, looking at the draw for the 4th round here, some matches coming up. The schedule includes Swansea versus Gillingham, AFC Wimbledon out of League One hosting West Ham. Either Shrewsbury or Stoke gets Wolves after their win against Liverpool. Millwall gets Everton. Brighton and Hove takes on West Brom. Bristol gets Bolton. Accrington Stanley, gets either Derby County or Southampton. Doncaster gets Oldham. Chelsea gets either Sheffield Wednesday or Luton Town. Newcastle or Blackburn will be playing Watford. Middlesbrough plays Newport County. Man City versus Burnley in a Premier League clash. One of only 3 Premier League clashes in the 4th round. Barnet plays Bradford. Pompey plays QPR. And then in the other 2 Premier League matches of the round, Arsenal takes on Manchester United and Palace takes on Tottenham. So we have a London derby as well as an Arsenal versus United matchup. So especially that Arsenal United matchup, that should be very, very delicious come late January. And we'll see where both these teams are in just a couple weeks' time. As we head to the League Cup, So let's get the first one out of the way, even though it's not in chronological order. Manchester City beat League One Burton Albion 9-0. That's 16-0 in the last two matches for Man City, in case you're keeping track at home. Gabriel Jesus with the golden sombrero, I guess, with 4 goals in the match. Other goals for De Bruyne, Alexander Zinchenko, Phil Foden, Kyle Walker, and Riyad Mahrez. My mini story I mentioned earlier, just it looks so funny in retrospect. Ian Dark, we love Ian Dark. Mr. Ian Dark on Twitter before the match goes, Burton Albion, they it's no fluke they're here. They acquitted themselves well in this tournament, and I expect to see them give a good go against Manchester City tonight. Oh. Well, not really. That didn't actually happen. So still love you, Ian, but no, didn't get this one right. So Manchester City will be playing in the League Cup final. They just have to play one more match in a couple weeks at Burton Albion. So that'll be that. The other one, which we can actually talk about, Tottenham 1, Chelsea 0. Harry Kane with a VAR penalty in that one in the 26th minute was the decider. Big call there. Big use of VAR coming to a Premier League near you next season. Then in the second half, after Spurs took their chance in the first, it was all Chelsea in the second period, and a valiant, heroic defensive effort from Tottenham kept it a 1-0 scoreline. Shades of the old, and I say old like this was like 2 years ago, I guess, Tottenham teams that were at the top of the table in terms of goals given up in a season in the Premier League. Just a stalwart defensive effort. Now with much to do in the second leg in Chelsea in a couple weeks, and of course, because it's Spurs, as I'm watching the match, I'm thinking, well, hey, job done, 1-0. We kept a clean sheet at home. We get a goal at Stamford Bridge, and hey, we'll be rolling with that away goal. So this year we don't use away goals anymore.
Oh.
So in the second leg, after 90 minutes, and if it's still tied, you just go straight to penalties. So, yay, away goals.
We want them to do get rid of replays in the FA Cup, but fuck around and mess up, everything else.
So close. You're so close sometimes, FA. So close. But
look,
go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, look at those, to look back at the City match to start with.
Sure.
I saw a few things on Twitter going around today, like, okay, yeah, come on. To me, if this was a one-off, I think it would have been a little excessive.
Mm-hmm.
But with this being a two-leg, basically what Pep has gone ahead and I don't have to play anyone in 2 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or is it 2 or 3 weeks?
It's like the 22nd, so...
Okay, so end of the month, they'll play again. Now Pep does not have to play anyone if he doesn't want to. He can literally put out almost a team. 9-goal lead.
Yep.
So that's going to be a great day for him to be able to give anyone he wants a game. The Phil Fodens of the world, any youngster who you want to give them a match, you can go for it. Just so many things that he's able to do. So I don't have an issue with going ahead and pretty much tying this thing up after one match.
Yeah,
I don't have any issue with it. Burton Albion knew what they were to. Hey, you're professional footballers. Your job is to stop them. I don't think they went in thinking they were going to win this match. Your job is to stop 4 9 goals.
Yeah.
So you are paid professionals.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as Chelsea Tottenham, I mean, it's 2 good teams going head with each other. Somebody's going to win it. Somebody's going to go home a little disappointed, win it, and then they're going to go in as underdogs City.
Yeah.
Whether it be Chelsea or Tottenham, we know both play with City. I'm excited Tottenham's up. I'm obviously behind Tottenham in this. It would be really nice to see Tottenham get there. And you go all out for it because you have a chance to win a trophy for Potch. I mean, it would be awesome to go ahead and get that trophy in the bank, and then see if see if you can make a run also in the FA Cup. I mean, Potch could go. Potch potentially getting a double.
Hey, there you go.
I mean, that'd be awesome, and of course, still in the champion. Can't anything. Hey, well, I was going to say Liverpool had their 2001, which was League Cup, FA Cup, and but at that time the UEFA Cup. But so hell, Tottenham could even make a run at doing something sort of like that with the Champions League. So there's this old adage of once you win that first trophy, it makes all the following trophies easier to come by because you know it and you want it. So for Spurs, man, big opportunity here. And while some do look down at the League Cup, the people who really look down at the League Cup are the ones. So
yeah,
I've never heard anyone say, "Oh, I wish we hadn't." I wish we hadn't won a trophy.
Yeah. Some interesting stats from this game. Tottenham now in all competitions have won 3 straight games against Chelsea, which is the first time that's happened since 1961 to 1963. So that's pretty good. There was another one. Oh, and Harry Kane with this penalty becomes the 4th highest goal scorer. No longer joint 4th highest. Now just the 4th highest goal scorer for Tottenham. Not bad for a one-season wonder. That's pretty good. Pretty good for him.
This is 5 years away.
Yeah.
I lose count.
Yeah, it's hard. I lost count after 1.
Sometimes I lose count.
So he's did a great job. But again, Tottenham have a lot of work to do when they head to Stamford Bridge in a couple weeks. They will be without Heung-min Son, who is now heading off to the Asian Games. So yay, come back soon, please.
Hopefully to be quickly eliminated.
Yes. Now that he's won that gold medal and there's no military service pressure, just go out. It doesn't matter. Just go out as the first round. Who cares? It doesn't matter. So, real quick before we head to news and notes, because that is our League Cup talk. There was some talk on Twitter, especially today after Man City's beatdown of Burton Albion, from some Leicester fans who were like, well, damn, if we had played full strength side against City a couple weeks ago in the League Cup, we might have gone through since it went to penalties against them. Maybe that would have been us destroying Burton Albion. And Arlo White picked up on that, and a discussion came about the League Cup and the FA Cup and blah, blah, blah. And, of course, the jam-packed schedules and whatnot, and also because Leicester, of course, lost in the FA Cup this past weekend. But someone did mention, what about just scrapping one of the tournaments? Where, I mean, as England is, along with France, the only league in the power leagues that has 2 domestic cups. That's, again, them and France. Which, by the way, PSG just got knocked out of one of theirs by like one of the worst teams in League One. So, good job, PSG. But
the worst.
Yes, you're right. Guingamp, I believe it was. Thank you for that pronunciation.
You're welcome. That's what I do for you. It's what I show up.
It's true. You put the right stuff in my mouth, Wes. So that's
Mother.
So I think it's very interesting. I don't think the answer is scrapping the League Cup, or the FA Cup. I don't even know if like combining them or what have you. I think there's some radical positions you could take, like, make the league, like one thing I had like in a fever dream was make the League Cup just for the top 4 leagues. You make the FA Cup for everything under the top 4 leagues. And then at the end of the season, the winner of the League Cup and the winner of the FA Cup plays each other. You still have your giant killer game. You still have the magic, I guess, and it works. That's insane and is probably really stupid. So I don't know what you can really do, though. But it is seeming like a bigger and bigger problem, especially with the way summer is becoming an important time for clubs to get out internationally and play matches, even if it's not full strength. It's more matches, And especially now with the crazy hectic holiday season we just made it through, it is very much in everybody's face again. And Wes, I'm not really sure, aside from a German like big winter break, what can really be done about it.
I mean, it's at this point, it's just English.
Yeah.
It's just how the English. It's just how the English schedule works. I don't see them changing it anytime soon. Like for everyone, it's not just Premier League, it's the FA, it's the league. It's what it is. To the holiday time, I can't see it, man. I mean, unless they round of matches and somehow gave everybody maybe 2 straight weekends off. But it's just not happening, man. There's too much money in the holidays. With the TV rights, there's too much. It's not going to change. And, I mean, people could say, but I mean, then with the why would that change? Everything almost like separate of the Premier League. So they're not really too worried about that, I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
So I think it's good too. Now, there are cups in the country that the Premier League squad and there's a lower cup which I believe is the
Chickatrade Trophy?
Chickatrade, I think it used to be the Johnston Paints Trophy or something. And that's made for the lower teams and the non-league teams. So there is something those teams, but England, especially with the tradition, with how long things have been done on it ain't changing.
All right, well,
it ain't changing.
We gave it a go. Hey,
and some I hate to squash your dreams.
It's okay.
But when you're lifting that lead,
hey,
this, as I always knew, was the trophy of the law.
There you go. Speaking of teams giving it a go, some will be giving it a go this weekend in the Premier League as Premier League action is back. Starting at 7:30 a.m. this Saturday, West Ham takes on Arsenal at the London Stadium. At 10 a.m., you get Leicester versus Southampton, Palace versus Watford, Burnley versus Fulham, Cardiff versus Huddersfield, and Brighton and Hove versus Liverpool, as we mentioned earlier. At 12:30, you get Chelsea versus Newcastle. On Sunday at 9:15, you get Everton versus Bournemouth, and at 11:30, you get Tottenham versus Manchester United. Hopefully, we might hear more from Paul Pogba's brother about how Paul Pogba's rehab is going, but it does look like he will be fit to go in that match against Tottenham.
We can only hope to hear more from Pogba.
Yep. Stay classy.
Not a font. If not a font of just absolute.
Stay classy, boys. And then on Monday, Manchester City sees if they can put up another big number against Wolves as they clash at the Etihad. So that'll be Monday, January 14th. So that is your Premier League look. As we hit the transfer market in the news and notes segment of the pod, not a whole lot of big names making waves just yet. There are some decently big names, though, moving clubs. Vicente Iborra will be moving from Leicester to Villarreal on a $10 million €10 million transfer. So the defensive midfielder will be heading back to La Liga. Brahim Diaz will be going from Man City to Real Madrid, the teenager, going for 17 million euros. Jermaine Defoe giving a go in the Scottish League as he heads to Rangers from Bournemouth. A long list of former Premier League players doing well in the Scottish Premiership. Very, very long list. That is like maybe one person. And then a pair of Liverpool players will be heading out the door, both to Bournemouth. Nathaniel Klein and Dominic Solanke, both heading to the Cherries from Liverpool. Klein on a loan, Solanke going out for 21 million euros. So Wes, obviously those two are very big to you. Did anything else catch your eye in the transfer market as well?
Well, we've had moves. There's a big rumor that Cesc Fabregas has played his last match for Chelsea. He's going to be on the way to the Monaco.
Certainly looked like it the way he came off in their FA Cup match the other day.
It did. That now the executive director of Chelsea, I can't remember. She has now made the statement that she will not, that they're not going to let him leave until they have a replacement in the door. Which I think a lot of people thought this was going to happen a lot quicker, but we do expect that to happen before January's over. But Ed, I think right now, one of the big stories of the transfer window is not so much the established players on the move. It's this whole deal of, shit, young English talent is really coming from England.
Yeah. Hooray!
Callum, oh God, do not have his name.
Callum Wilson?
Not Callum. Odoi, the youngster from Chelsea.
Yes.
I cannot remember. I know it's hyphenated, but young man, he's an 18 English player, was another member of that England under-17 World Cup team that Jadon Sancho was a part of, Dom Solanke was a part of, Ryan Brewster was a part of. And there is a rumor out there that they're able from Bayern Munich for this player. He's at Chelsea right now. And basically, with add-ons, this deal could go as high as £35 million.
Callum Hudson-Odoi, yes.
Hudson-Odoi, that's right. Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Actually played in the League Cup match against Tottenham the other day.
That's right. Other than that, has 71 minutes of first-team time for Chelsea. And Bayern on and big have offered money. Now, that I believe that price is actually more £28 million range, but with add-ons could get up to $35 million. But that's a crazy price for a kid who, yes, has shown considerable talent, but hasn't hardly played any first-team football. But you look at England over the years, and this is the FA wants these Premier League squads to play top English talent. The Premier League teams, though, unfortunately, at the top of they've academy with the best young players, but it's hard to get them in because you're worried about losing out in the top four race. So it's kind of a catch-22. You're one of the top teams, top young players, but then it's really hard to try to blow them in. Hudson-Odoi is a really solid player, has shown flashes, and it seems like the Bundesliga is a higher place now for these young players. And you look no further than, and that's kind of the golden boy right now. Is and you see how he's gone off national at the age of 19, I believe. So I think English players are seeing this gateway where in the past it was, well, if I go on loan, no offense Dominic Solanke, where now guys are like, shit, I could go on the continent. I can go play somewhere internationally. And also, that gives the opportunity to get not only big-time first-team football, the chance to play in Europe, things like that. So that's something, that's something to keep an eye on going, because, as you said, we got Callum Hudson-Odoi now, potentially. Rhian Brewster, who I mentioned, kind of the gem of the young Liverpool academy at the moment. There was a lot of talk that he, before he ended up finally signing his contract with Liverpool. So that is an option that now these players are getting. And it's going to be up to these Premier League squads to figure out what to do here, because they don't want to be losing their top talent. Now, if these international clubs are going to be coming with money, that'll obviously help. But they don't want to be losing this talent overseas. And also with the potential of Brexit and the FA, it could be even more for these English clubs to keep these top level players, because it might not be quite as easy. So to me, I think at this point, since we haven't had any big, I think that is to me, that's the story floating around in the transfer market. Some other things have happened. Timothy has gone on loan to Celtic SG. States International. We discuss Pulisic last week, right?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so we discussed Pulisic. There is some activity. We haven't really seen anything huge happen in regards to the teams left in the Champions League, even though we have made mention throughout the season that for the first time players can play for two different teams in the Champions League. So you could still get that movement coming up. And those teams could be looking to help strengthen. Where, a season ago when Barcelona bought Philippe Coutinho in January, they knew for him. If that happened this year, he would. So that is going to change some of the market.
Oh, yeah.
And then however injuries work out. I mean, right now, you look, God, a month ago I would have said, no, we don't need another central defender. Jesus, we've got 4 quality ones. We've got potentially the best one in the world. Quality was after it. And now we're starting a center midfielder as a defender this weekend. And just a few days ago, defense as well. So, there could be a move for I don't see Tottenham putting anybody out. There have been talk that maybe they send out Alderweireld. I don't think that's going to happen. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what happens. City have lost shining stars out of their academy system. Brahim Diaz, I believe it's.
Yep.
Brahim Diaz. He's signed with Real Madrid. Highly thought of young striker. He is Spanish. So going to Madrid, that's an interesting move for him to basically walk away from City like that. But that's been kind of an ongoing. That's another one. The cities, the Chelseas of the world, they've got these bright young players, but don't really have anywhere to put them. So another one they've lost. So definitely there will be moves made in this window. It's just they may not be overly moment, but give them a year or two, and we could be looking at this going, holy shit, what do we know?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I also did want to mention, not Jermaine Defoe, Jason Punchin will be heading from Crystal Palace to Huddersfield on loan, and that is something Huddersfield desperately needs, is people who can score goals, because their offense is just so putrid. So we'll see if that helps them coming up and trying to stay up in the Premier League. All right, let's hit the next story, and it's one I'm sure Wes takes absolutely no joy in. Wayne Rooney was arrested. Hooray. This was, excuse me, breaking news. Back in December, Wayne Rooney was arrested on public intoxication and swearing charges. And of course, he had a little bit of that also happen in England. So Oh,
As I told you,
yes.
you can take the Waza out, but you can't take Merseyside out of Waza.
Very true. Just very disappointing, especially after the good season he had at DC United, to come out like this and just do something so incredibly stupid. Just really, really poor. So good on you, Waza. Good on you. And then maybe a story that is shocking to absolutely no one as we end news and notes. Good old Frank Ribery, again, the guy who almost started a fight in an International Champions Cup match, tells his critics, according to The Independent, fuck your mothers, your grandmothers, and your family tree. That's just part of the headline. He said in I believe it's an Instagram post, for 2019, let's dot the I's and cross the T's, whatever that means in this context. Let's start with the jealous, the haters, those only born because a condom had a hole in. Sick, him. Fuck your mothers, your grandmothers, and even your family tree. I owe you nothing. My success is above all thanks to God, me, and my loved ones who believed in me. For the others, you're nothing but pebbles in my socks. Which is a really weird thing to say, because I feel like pebbles in your socks are really annoying. Like, I hate those things. Those really, to borrow a phrase, grind my gears. Those are super bad. Like,
thank you, Peter Griffin.
There you go. But I wouldn't call the haters pebbles in my socks. I would call them dirt off my shoulders. I don't know. Like, pebbles in your socks are really annoying, and you have to take time out of your day to take that shit out. Like, that's poor, Frank. That's really, really poor. But I guess it's not anything we don't expect from you.
Well, when we take into account that when Frank decided to have this little tantrum, he was in Dubai.
Yeah, with Salt Bay.
House run by the now internet famous Salt Bay.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, I'm totally a fan of Salt Bay. So sprinkle the salt.
I don't blame you.
And cut the meat. I enjoy it. Frank was eating a 1 pound, and I don't mean like weight wise. I mean money wise.
Yep.
A tomahawk ribeye that cost £1 pound and was apparently covered in gold.
Yep.
So, and I did see the video and watch salt, and it was a golden. I'm sure it was quite delicious. I'm not spending £1,000.
Yeah.
As much as I do love a good ribeye.
It's not.
Sadly, in my new state, because sirloin guys.
Yeah, it's okay.
But it's just Ribery being Ribery, man. He's been an asshole. Nothing's changed, and now he's a crotchety old.
Yeah.
Old by football standards, of course, and the fact that he's basically washed up and on the way out. So might as well take his parting shot. He's won his World Cup. Actually, I take it. I don't think he did not. He's played in his World Cups. He's not playing.
Mm-hmm.
He's not really playing much for Bayern much anymore, I don't believe. So he can have his little moments.
Yeah, I think that's like the worst part. Like, it'd be one thing if he was like still like really in form or whatever, but he's not been very good for Bayern this year, and we've already seen what Bayern has been doing to journalists who dare question Frank Ribery and the rest of the team. But like he just hasn't been good. And it's like you can't blame people as much shit as you've talked in your career. You can't blame people then talking shit about you when it's warranted and like get all offended by it. Like, oh no. Like if you're gonna dish it out, you have to be able to take it. And Frank Ribery obviously cannot take the pebbles being thrown at him. So good on you, Frank Ribery.
It's just Ribery.
It's just Ribery. And that's going to do it for the news and notes segment. Wes, let's hit the watch for. What are you watching in the week that was or the week that will be?
Oh, what have I watched? I've seen movies this week.
I saw one you saw today.
Well, I saw the Clint Eastwood movie.
Mm-hmm.
Very good about an octogenarian Clint Eastwood becomes basically a drug mule cartel.
Fun.
Very good movie. Very good. I would fully recommend. One that I wouldn't completely recommend to everyone that I saw today. The now apparently infamous Holmes and Watson.
Yeah.
Infamous because it's being reported on the internet, and I don't know how anyone stat, but it's the most walked out of.
Yeah.
I don't really know how you keep up. Anyway, let's put it this way, folks. Will Ferrell, it's John C. Reilly. You kind of know what you're getting into. I mean, we saw Talladega Nights.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Walk Hard.
Yeah.
We saw Step Brothers. You kind of know what you're getting into.
The difference is all the people who said those movies were good have not said the same thing about this one.
Well,
which is why I worry, because a lot of times you're like, it's a comedy. Critics don't usually go for comedies. They don't get it. I'm like,
well, no, that really go for. But now that said, Walk Hard's just a weird ass movie. But,
yeah.
Talladega Nights, Step Brothers are two of my all-time favorites. So,
and I've heard a lot of people like those movies. They're good movies. They're dumb, but they're good.
And they're always critically panned, but yeah, I mean, they are, when it comes to comedies, they are fun. Holmes and Watson is completely what it is. I believe that Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly are at a point where like whatever we want. There were some very funny parts of that movie. It was not a very good movie.
I've heard weird things. I've heard this movie's been in it was supposed to be made right after the first Robert Downey Sherlock Holmes movie, and they just kind of sat on it. And it's like, way to really strike while the iron is ice cold, boys.
Yeah, I mean, no, that said, I laughed. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed. But once again, comparing, some of what I call the Will Ferrell classics, and trust me, they hate Will Ferrell no matter. So, and they just don't like his movies. I love Talladega Nights. I love Step Brothers. I'm a Will Ferrell fan.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this one was more along the lines of semi-pro, which I wasn't the big semi-pro. But, it wasn't, to me, it wasn't up there with his fantastic. There are some really good Will Ferrell movies out there. This wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
But that said, if you go on $5 tube, or you're like me and you got your AMC list, and you see 3 movies a week, you know what? For that, just burn it and go see it. I mean, it's worth it there. You really have to pay much for it. but don't go in thinking you're going to see. But there are just some. John C. Reilly improving his credentials as a doctor. Yes. Would you like? I love that shit. And Holmes, have you had your cocaine today?
Oh boy. What have I been watching? I've been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine because tomorrow night or tonight, depending on when you're listening to this podcast, the season 6. Yeah. Oh my god, I'm so ready for it. New episodes starting on NBC. That's going to be really great. Also excited for a couple new shows coming out. There's an animated show. I'm not sure where I can actually watch it. It's called Genlock. It is an animated series, not anime. It's an American animated series, so don't freak out just yet, Wes. But I want to pull up the cast list here.
I'll try to keep my pants on.
Sure. The cast list for this Wes Bradshaw includes one David Tennant, who we do remember from things like Doctor Who and Jessica Jones, where he played the bad guy. One Michael B. Jordan. And now I have your interest. One Dakota Fanning is in this, as well as Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, and some other people I don't know as well. But those four make a decently sized cast. So right off the bat, there you go. Go check that out. That's Genlock. That starts in a couple weeks. Again, don't actually know where you can watch it. It's by Rooster Teeth. Just search that online. There's so many networks now. What else am I watching? What else comes back? Didn't know this. There is a Carmen Sandiego Netflix show coming out that apparently is very good. So I liked Carmen Sandiego, the game show growing up on PBS. It was freaking great. So I might give that a whirl. The Good Place is back on NBC as well. And one that started this past Monday. I haven't gotten to see the first episode of season 2 yet. But Mob Psycho 100, that is an anime. Love season 1, maybe the best theme song to any show ever. Anime or not, this might be the best theme song ever. Really good show, really funny, by the same people who made One Punch Man. But this show is probably better than One Punch Man. So yeah, Mob Psycho 100, best theme song ever. Can't wait to see what they do in season 2. So that is mine, and as we get super psycho, Wes, I believe you have live reportings as you got super so raw this weekend.
Okay, I don't know where you're going.
Well, because you went to NXT.
Oh, that's Jesus Christ! Yeah, you're right.
Yay!
Well, I had other.
Sorry.
My head for this one.
You can go where you want then, my friend.
Yeah, we do have a decent So Raw this week. As usual, not much of the decent involved around Raw, but
yeah.
But actually, you know what? For Raw, big highlight of the week, the return of the Hulkster. Hulk Hogan.
Oh my God!
Is back this week for the first time. Revealed on tape, saying, "Time to let bygones be bygones." Back the Hulkster billboard. Or maybe here we'll just tear down the wall in.
Well, you know who's next. You know who we got to bring back next.
WWE Hall of Famer President Donald Trump.
Oh no! It's our beloved Chris Benoit. I believe in them. I believe we can do this.
I don't think we're going to do it, Ed, but we'll keep it.
All right.
We'll keep it. So Hulk Hogan may return. Gave a really, really heartfelt tribute to Mean Gene Okerlund. We mentioned Mean Gene Pat. It was really nice what Hulk Hogan did. If you get a chance, pull it up on YouTube, take a look at it. It for the old wrestling fan, like it will bring a tear to your eye. The Hulkster, when he really bears down and sticks to what he's supposed to do, he does some magic, and that's something they've been missing WWE a long time. Hulk Hogan had that. It's definitely worth a watch to hear in the ring for Gene Okerlund. So check that out. Wrestle Kingdom 13.
Yes.
It was. I couldn't definitely tell to dates and times and everything if it was. But anyway, we do have some results from that. I'm just going to things that takes. It was a night of champions switching hands at the Tokyo Dome, and we're going to hit some of the big ones that are. Juice Robinson defeated Cody Rhodes for the IW States Champion. Keep in mind, Cody Rhodes, longer champion. Let's see the next one. Tetsuya Naito. Naito won a no disqualification for the Intercontinental Championship of Chris Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jericho no longer the champion. The Young Bucks did not win the tag team title. And then at the end of the night, the match of, the last few match of the IWGP Heavyweight Championship match, Tanahashi, known as the sort of compared as the John Cena of IWGP.
Mm-hmm.
He defeated Kenny Omega to win the title. Now, what's kind of the kicker with all those guys who just lost titles? For all of them, that was it for the time being for them in Japan. As Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks have started, we mentioned last week, the All Elite Wrestling, AEW. More is coming out on that this week. And signing, that will be Chris Jericho. So you're seeing now why those guys did not wrestle the championship belt. Kenny Omega, though, is the story right now. Stated not signing with New Japan. So now, the biggest free agent in quite a while to be on the. And the rumor is kind of keep that band as they kick off All Elite Wrestling. Or will he take a big money offer he has? 35 years, the best work for the last 2 years he has had on the scene. And at this time, him going to W, massive signing, because that brings you dream matches. I mean, it would be by far.
Mm-hmm.
It would be an AJ Styles level signing. It would give you the potential Omega Rollins, just a lot of those kind of matches. Balor matches you see happening if Omega signs with WWE. The question comes down, what does he, what's his idea? So before Omega, it's not about already, so it's not like he's, started WWE television. So that we should hear something by the, and that's going to be a really big decision for both companies, because that's that's your top guy. For WWE, this could be a guy turn around that.
Mm-hmm.
So those are major. That's a major league free agent out on the market. So we'll definitely have to keep our eye on. So Kenny, who I think you would.
Oh, well, I sent you the text message.
Yeah, I actually watched the video. I didn't know what was going on, but I watched it. Yeah.
So there is a game called Undertale made by the other person referenced in the that video called Toby Fox. He made this game completely by himself with like one person who helped a little bit with the art, and I think one other person maybe. Toby Fox is great, and he made this game. It's an amazing game. Just go play it, people are out there. But he and Kenny Omega apparently met in Japan last year and became big friends because they're both kind of nerds. And Kenny Omega had him make an intro for this Wrestle Kingdom match, and it is basically like Undertale. And there is moments in that video where it's like directly referencing Undertale. Like when he says "filled with determination," That's like one of the biggest things from Undertale, is that every time you hit a save point, it would say like something like the waves washing against the shore sound peaceful yet strong. It fills you with determination. Every save point would have a sentence and then say it fills you with determination. And that is like the core of it all. And that's why it was like so cool. And I was like, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. As soon as he got knocked down, I was like, damn it, hell yeah. Let's go. I was fucking pumped, man. I was pumped watching that video. I was like, yeah, let's go, Kenny Omega. Let's go. And then I found out he lost, and I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, well, and now you kind of know.
Yeah.
So, but hey, there's someone actually. I mean, I could see you if you decide to get into it. I think you would really like.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of got that. He's kind of got that angry vibe to him. But yeah, so that's definitely one. And speaking of an Ed Green,
yes,
Ed, there is one member of the wrestling world just really tickles your fancy.
Who's that, Wes Bradshaw?
You're a huge fan of. A gentleman is known to us, of course, as the Great Black Otaku.
Great Black Otaku!
A man that when he comes out, holy shit.
Holy shit.
By the way, I started that chant the other day.
Really?
I did. I started the holy shit chant.
Fantastic.
That is the giant among men. And Brennan Williams and the cast, the roster of NXT showed up. We're in the house at the Durham Armory in Durham.
Yeah.
So I said, Ed, this is a great opportunity. So I packed up the little bullet baby, my little princess, and we made the trip to Durham to see Adam Cole, baby.
Hey, baby.
And his friends, Brennan Williams, the Undisputed Era, led by Adam Cole. They were there. Aleister Black in the house. Gargano, Ciampa. Ed, a lovely night was had by all. Damn. Saw some good wrestling. Saw some good stuff. And not only that, Ed, my little princess, she got a having her picture.
Yes.
With AJ Styles, and now that is chief goal when we go see wrestling. So we went, left out a little before the end of the main event, posted up out back. One thing with NXT, a difference when they were as compared with Raw and SmackDown, is that Raw and SmackDown the guys, they get in their rental off vacation, things like that. NXT, when they do these little they get them all in a bus. So everyone rides together. So basically, everybody's got to come by you. So Callie ended up getting a picture, I think, with 9 different pictures, including Great Black Otaku himself, of which I went and sought him out and said I need to take a picture of mine. And then I told him he was the best Wooly. He agreed and said, I am the best Wooly.
He is the best.
So I don't know what that means, but I said it just.
So real quick, just to very quickly explain to you, there is a group that I've mentioned on this podcast before called the Super Best Friends, and they do Let's Plays of video games. One of their members is named Wooly Madden. Yes, that is his real God-given name. And Wooly is basically, because Wooly used to play football before he got into the video game business, and like hurt his knee in high school, whatever. So the joke was always Brennan was just better Wooly. And then over the years, they all became friends and blah, 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 blah. And then Wooly, in the last year, lost weight, got into boxing, got into haka, got really fit. And so Wooly became the better Wooly. And so now Brennan had to become the best Wooly. So as Wooly moved his own goalpost, Brennan moved the goalpost again. So That is why Brennan is best worthy.
Well, it was a very nice gentleman.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He is a good dude. Callie got her picture. Some of the bigger stars. Alicia Black, Roddy Strong from the Undisputed Era, Ricochet, who she had never warned her. I said, just watch him. Amazing live. He's amazing on video. He's even more amazing live watching him. She got a picture taken with him. And then Ed to top off the night as Callie wore her Adam Cole Baby shirt.
Oh, yes.
She got her picture taken with man himself, Adam Cole Baby.
Bye-bye.
And she got her picture taken, and then that the coolest part of my is Callie goes and she says, "Too sweet me, baby."
Oh.
Cole says, "Oh, baby, I will definitely." She gives her a too sweet. My heart melted.
Oh, my God.
It was the best. So, so she had a great. A lot of those guys are going to do a good job in the future. I know it. And we had a great time at a WWE live event while Raw and SmackDown not quite as bad as Raw. You know, while they may be like, man, you put those guys on a live event, they know how to put on a show. Another fun night for Shaws at a.
Real quick, I do want to also mention one named producer Jackie was very excited a couple days ago. She plays a game called the Trivia Crack on her phone, and apparently one of the questions was what wrestling program airs weekly on Tuesday nights, and she got that question correct. So
I feel that she from this podcast.
So there you go. You if you feel like you've done nothing else in this world, know that you have done that from this podcast.
That makes me very.
There you go.
One name technical producer Jackie J.
Yay, Jaquisha. Good job. That's gonna do it though for episode 244. We will be back next week. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. that was a very awkward way I just did of asking if Wes will be live last week. So yes, we'll be back live next week with a pod. Of course, again, big week of Premier League fixtures, including Tottenham versus Manchester United, Man City looking to score about 1 billion more goals, and Liverpool looking to bounce back against Brighton. So we'll have that. We'll have... I don't think there's really much else. Champions League is not until February. League Cup and FA Cup not for a couple weeks. So, of course, the transfer market will be heating up. I expect some more stuff to start going down within the next 7 days, and we'll see if anybody else gets arrested. Also, of course, big shout to NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. We never stop, even if this podcast is about to, as well as Alicia's Pillows and Things. You can find them on the internet as well as us on Twitter. As a collective, we are at AFA Pod. Wes, you are?
I'm at West Bradshaw 21.
I am at Edward Green. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube via our parent show, The All New Sports Show. You can also email us at that address, allnewsportshow@gmail.com. Big shout out to all our podcast providers, including Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app, Google Play Music, and the iTunes Music Store. You can also find our podcasts every week on YouTube as well. So with that is going to do it for episode 244. But before we get out of here, Wes, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, as you know, last week when this is kind of under the weather, and when you set me up perfect, didn't hit the home run. Folks, college football has,
Yes.
and now comes the absolute worst of the year where we just have to baseball.
Yeah.
Luckily for us, we have the seems like it actually ends.
That's true.
As soon as it's over, we take a little back into it. So, it's not quite as bad as life used.
Yeah.
But since the NFL doesn't truly do us other than Utah girly, because we love it, Other than that, football is over.
Mhm.
Congratulations to the Clemson Tigers, who, it's like I told somebody, that was a game that could have gone either way. Was surprised at how big Clemson. Not only did they win, they actually dominated.
Yeah, it was bad.
So, so if everything kind of goes according, get a match next year for the national title. So,
yay!
Or was this?
This was
a rubber match.
So they've met every.
Okay, that's right.
They've met 4 straight years in the playoffs. 3 out of the 4 have been the title game.
That's right. So if they do it next year, it will be, because that will be the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. And really, both of them bringing back their core. They're both just freaking loaded. So there's a good chance we see this one next year. But for everybody who gets tired of Alabama, I just beat them.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing. I don't hate greatness. It's just, they're that damn good. You see it. There's some squads that are starting to maybe catch up a little bit. So it's good to see.
And hey, when they do lose, you can just then go tune into the Paul Feinbaum show. I'm sure.
Paul! Paul!
watch it. Listen to our podcast first, and then go watch the Paul Feinbaum show. There you go. So as you go now, because this podcast is ending, go turn on the Paul Feinbaum show. For Wes Bradshaw, I am Edward Green. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Foreign Affair podcast. We will catch you guys next week. Until then, stay safe and enjoy the football.
And good night, Bert. Really, really good song. Not that it matters.
There you go.
You got it.
Also, we didn't mention, and because I had buried this note on my note sheet, but it's not a big deal. The Pavard guy, he signed for Bayern.
Benjamin Pavard.
Yeah. Which was kind of a bummer because I thought maybe Tottenham could get him, maybe in the summer, maybe even in January, but oh well.
When Bayern
Yeah.
a player from the German league.
This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to ngscsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.